Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Salam kebajikan untuk kita semua. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to visiting lecture conducted by Faculty of Law, Diponegoro University 2020. To the Honorable Mr. Marjo SH Hu, as a head of Bachelor Degree, Faculty of Law, Diponegoro University. To the Honorable Associate Professor Salawati Mat Basir, LLB LLM, Lecturer of Faculty of Law, National University of Malaysia, as a speakers for today's sessions. To the Honorable Mrs. Sartika Nanda Lestari SHMH LLM, as the moderator for the sessions, and also the fellow participants. Thank you very much for all the participants for your enthusiasm to join these sessions. Let me introduce myself. My name is Farazia Natisha Putri, and you can call me Tisha, as a master ceremony for today's sessions. First of all, let us give our praise to our God, who has blessing and mercy. We can still gather in the lovely morning. So, let us start today's event with praise, so this event will run well without any obstacle at all. Let the prayer begin. Amen. Thank you. Before we enter the core of the sessions, I would like to read for our today's agenda. The first is a welcoming speech from Mr. Marjo SH Hu, as a head of Bachelor Degree Faculty of Law Diponegoro University. Second, we will talking about COVID-19 and the impact of development that will be delivered by Associate Professor Salawati Mat Basir, LLB LLM, and that will be moderated by Mrs. Sartika Nanda Lestari, SHMH LLM. After that, we have a discussions and question and answer sessions. And finally is the closing sessions. Well, without any further ado, we're now going to listen to the speech that will be delivered by the head of Bachelor Degree Faculty of Law, Diponegoro University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Marjo SH Hu.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang terhormat kepada narasumber, Ibu Profesor Dr. Salawati Mat Basir, LLB, LLM, dari Faculty of Law, National University of Malaysia, UKM. Good morning, welcome and thank you. Yang saya hormati moderator Ibu Sartika Nanda Lestari, SHLLM, dan hostnya, yang saya cintai segenap mahasiswa program studi S1 Hukum, Fakultas Hukum Undip, peserta kuliah umum visiting profesor. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, dan salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Puji syukur alhamdulillah senantiasa panjatkan kehadirat Allah SWT yang telah melimpahkan rahmatnya, hidayah dan karunia-Nya pada kita semua, sehingga pagi hari ini kita bisa dapat mengikuti acara program visiting professor atau visiting lecture ini dengan pembicara Profesor Dr. Salawati Mat Basir, LLM, dengan tema COVID-19 and the Impact of Development secara daring ini dalam keadaan sehat tanpa kurang satu apapun. Amin. Dan kita harus senantiasa berdoa semoga di masa pandemi COVID-19 ini selalu diberikan kesehatan dan keselamatan. Dan tentunya pandemi COVID-19 ini segera berakhir. Amin. Pertama-tama izinkan saya mewakili pimpinan Fakultas Hukum Undip, Ibu Dekan atau Dekanat yang tidak bisa hadir di hadapan hadirin semua, khususnya Profesor Mat Basir, yang pada jam ini tidak bisa karena ada acara yang tidak bisa ditinggalkan. Untuk itu kami mohon maaf yang sebesar-besarnya. Dan menitipkan salam kepada Ibu narasumber dan juga hadirin semua. Tak lupa kepada para peserta kuliah umum, program visiting professor atau visiting lecture ini, khususnya program studi S1 Hukum, yang mengikuti acara pada pagi hari ini saya ucapkan selamat datang, welcome, dan terima kasih kepada saudara-saudara yang sudah meluangkan waktunya di sela kesibukan mengikuti perkuliahan pada hari ini setelah UTS yang kita lalui minggu yang lalu. Dan berharap semoga kepada saudara bisa mengikuti kegiatan ini sampai selesai. Kepada saudara moderator dan juga sekaligus EO dari program Visiting Professor, Ibu Nanda Sartika Lestari, saya ucapkan terima kasih yang sudah menjadwalkan, juga mengarahkan, memfasilitasi, mengadakan kegiatan Visiting Professor untuk program studi S1 Ilmu Hukum ini. Kepada narasumber, Ibu Profesor Dr. Salawati Madbasir, LLB, LLM, kami ucapkan thank you yang sebesar-besarnya atas waktu dan kesediaannya menjadi pembicara pada kuliah umum Visiting Professor ini dan mau berbagi ilmunya kepada para mahasiswa, khususnya program studi S1 Ilmu Hukum, Fakultas Hukum Undip ini dengan tema COVID-19 and the Impact of Development ini. Saya sangat mengapresiasi adanya kegiatan kuliah program Visiting Professor ini. Hal ini dimaksudkan untuk peningkatan kompetensi para mahasiswa Fakultas Hukum Undip, baik program reguler atau IUP, yang tentu tidak hanya dituntut kemampuan mempunyai kompetensi hard skill maupun soft skill di bidang akademik secara nasional, tapi juga kemampuan akademik secara internasional. Dengan mendengarkan paparan dari narasumber pada program lecture profesor ini. Kepada segenap peserta, mahasiswa khususnya program S1 Ilmu Hukum Fakultas Hukum Undip ini, dengan mengikuti kuliah umum program Visiting Professor atau Visiting Lecture ini, saya harapkan saudara dapat mengikuti dengan seksama dan sungguh-sungguh, dan tentunya bisa menyerap ilmu dan pengalaman dari narasumber yang dihadirkan dari UGM, Profesor Ibu Salawati Madbasir ini, guna mengembangkan kompetensi dan tentunya menambah wawasan bagi saudara, di samping menerima materi dari perkuliahan yang selama ini saudara dapatkan. Kepada seluruh peserta kuliah umum program Visiting Professor ini, saya ucapkan selamat mengikuti kegiatan sampai selesai, dan saya berharap semoga kegiatan ini bisa berjalan lancar, berkah, dan bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Amin. Terima kasih kepada narasumber, Ibu Moderator, dan host, dan segenap mahasiswa, khususnya program studi S1 Hukum. Mohon maaf kalau ada kekurangan dan tutur kata yang tidak berkenan di hati hadirin semua. Dengan ini saya akhiri sambutan saya. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Marjo, for the incredible speech. Proceed to the next agenda. Now we come into the most awaited sections, that is a general lecture with our special guest, the one and only Associate Professor Salawati Madbasir. And today we have an interesting topic. We will talking about COVID-19 and the impact of development that will be guided by our moderator, Mrs. Sartika Nanda Lestari. But before that, I would like to introduce and read the CV of Mrs. Sartika Nanda. Okay, we have Mrs. Sartika Nanda Lestari, SHMH LLM, Lecturer Faculty of Law, University of Diponegoro. She obtained her undergraduate in Diponegoro University and took her master degree in Diponegoro University and National University of Malaysia. Now she is a lecturer in Business Law Department. All right, without any further ado, Mr. Sartika Nanda, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Tisa, as MC for today's event. Good morning to all participants, and also good morning to our honorable speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Salawati Madbasir, and also as my lecturer when I took my master's degree in National University of Malaysia. Welcome to the visiting lecture for undergraduate program session. My name is Sartika Nandalastari and I'll be responsible as moderator for this event. As information, today's session will last for 50 minutes, 20 minutes for presentation and 30 minutes for question and answer session. If you have question regarding the topic, please raise your hand through the raise hand button in Zoom application. Thank you. And now I'm glad to welcome Associate Professor Salwati Madbasir from Faculty of Law, National University of Malaysia, who will present the interesting topic about COVID-19 and the impact of development. As information, Associate Professor Salawati Madbasir is an Associate Professor at the Faculty of Law, National University of Malaysia. She obtained LLB, LLM, and PhD degrees from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. And prior to joining UKM, Dr. Salwati held several professional positions, including practicing advocate, legal advisor, and international trade and development officer. Dr. Salwati interests include development law, international law, and strategic studies, Asian integration, and regionalism. And nowadays, Dr. Salwati's specialization are international law, international development law, migration and refugee law, and also the space law. Now, I will turn over to Associate Professor Dr. Salwati Madbasir to share her knowledge about development and COVID-19. Time is yours, Dr. Salwati.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Nanda, and thank you very much also to Mr. Marjo and Ms. Tisha. Okay, I think I got about 15 minutes to deliver before question and answer session by the student. Okay, whether we like it or not, today we have to talk about COVID-19. Maybe some people's thinking that why don't you find some other topic? But I want to touch on something that we might know, but we don't know how terrible or how much is the impact of the COVID-19 on the development. Many people, when they say about development, they just only think about the high building, the road with the tar, how much house that we built, and how is the best infrastructure that we can give for the people. That is the common when you talk about development. Actually, we're wrong. We are not only talking solely physical facilities that we want to provide to our people. Now, with the very bigger test, COVID-19 happen around the world, what's going to be happen to the development? When I'm talking about the development, as a person that's really put the expertise in development, development is not only the physical development, but normal people, politicians, government only give a full attention normally to the physical facilities. Actually, it's more than that. We are talking about a humans index. We're talking about the capabilities. We're talking about the corruption index. We're talking about how the synergy between the nature, the human being, and the businesses. In other words, we are talking about government, people, or society with businesses, because this three element is the main power in the development. So I'm going to talk about this each of them in 5 minutes, so then you can see that how terrible it can be. The COVID-19 crisis is actually hitting developing economics at a critical moment, because prior to the crisis, actually, end of 2019, our financing is actually had already fallen short of the spending needs in many countries. Some countries are growing, but some countries facing that, and all of the countries in the world facing a little bit slow in their trade end of last year. And when start of this COVID, is really crazy, because it's really impact. The impact is actually people never thought that we are going to progress. We're going to have so many things on enhanced, but suddenly because of COVID, everything like scattered everywhere. Okay, first I'm talking about how is the impact on the society. The impact on the society is very much because it's really a setback for the society, especially for those who are in the labor group. Because this labor group, during the normal situation, they also still have to struggle to make the end meets. And now with the COVID around this, they're losing the job. And if I can say that in my country, at this moment, it's about 60,000 people already losing their job. And we already got the latest statistics this morning. It's about 600,000 already losing the job, especially from the aviation industries, shipping, oil and gas, and also the industry, which is no need to produce something, which is now we are not going to import or export something which is very relevant. And also, we also having in terms of services, many of services also cannot produce, or retail industries also, because not many people want to shop at this moment because of losing a job. And my government is expecting that 1 million population will losing their job by end of December. That is not a small impact. When 1 million doesn't have a job, we expecting crimes will be going high. We're expecting that many children will pull out from school, from university, because they don't have money to continue if they don't get a scholarship from the government. And we can see that the lack of educations, because at this moment, the very vast impacts not only on the income of a family, is also on education, because many of the school now are closed and they study online. It's also same also in the university. But we are talking about how many family can afford to have the internet at home. And we are talking about how many poor family actually can provide a smartphone or laptop for the children. Okay, if I can say that there are so many school in Malaysia, the government provide the breakfast and lunch for the poor people, for the poor children. So when they come to school early in the morning, there is a food for them. We selected these children from a very poor family to have a breakfast, or during the recess time, and also before they go back, which is lunchtime at the canteen. So with this COVID-19, the government now have to pull so much money to give for the health care, especially for the frontliners, because I think what happened in one of the states in Sabah, in Malaysia, which is total lockdown, and we have almost 700 doctors from Peninsula shipped there because they need to help their counterparts because of that. So this is a very major impact to the human development in Malaysia. And what else in other countries? So the human impact is not only for the income of family, which is we can see the middle family can lower their standard to be the poor, and poor become very poor. So it was the impact on the development of the children, especially when school and for food. So this is something that for me, very significant. And day by day, you can see many family cannot afford to give children or their babies milk, and also have to constrain on their daily meal. All right, that is the humans, that is the normal people at large who are not from the middle 40 or the T20 group in Malaysia. I refer that, so when I say middle 40 means their income per year is more than 40,000 ringgit Malaysia. When I refer the high group class, like the high class group, which is T20, means their income is more than 200,000 per year. So this is the group that not being affected because they're rich, they can afford no matter how the situation. So it's not really much on them. But I'm talking about the below 40 group, below 30,000 group, where this like they have to work very hard to make ends meet. All right. Second, to the business, it's a very much linked to the society, because society gets their money or get their income, get the job from the business and the associate. So if the business, nowadays, if you can see that there are so many drop lately. If you are involved in retail industries, many malls in Malaysia being infected by COVID, the staff or the local and migrant workers there, they got infected COVID from the malls. So many malls have to be sanitized, have been contaminated, but then still it's not make people want to go there and gain. So if you can see that retail industry is the suffered most, and followed by the small vendors, because people are not sure whether they want to go or not to buy, whether it's safe for them to go or not. So in Malaysia, that is still the worry is very high. Once we know that, for example, okay, that malls have the COVID, people don't want to go, even though the malls say that no problem, we already sanitized, we contaminated for 2 weeks, we are already sure there is no COVID there. Still, the people very reluctant to go. So when the retails, small vendors, small, medium and company, small, medium enterprises really having hits by this COVID. And not to mention about the import and export, because it's really, really cruel, because the import somehow rather, you want to export your things, the ports might in Malaysia might open, but not necessarily the port that you want to send your things will open. I'm take example like my husband's doing the import and export. For almost 1 month now, his things are stranded at the Port Klang. Cannot send shipped to Africa or to any ASEAN country because they are still, like Malaysia are not the country that they will accept the things. So still, it's very major impact for the income. Yeah, cannot imagine if he's the only sole income for the family. So you see the businesses are very much impacted by this COVID-19, and it gives to the staff or to the people at large the problem with that, because people are getting income by doing a business. So when there is no business or business reduced, there will be major income affected by this. And thirdly, for the government, if you can see the government, all the government in this world are facing most challenges time during COVID. It really tests the leader of the country to bring where they want to bring their country. For example, in Malaysia, for I think since COVID, we already passed 3 stimulus package for business, stimulus package for people, and stimulus package for certain industries. We have to inject, the government have to inject the money to make sure that this industry are still alive, so it still can maintain the staff. Because losing a job means hassles and is a disaster. Because many of us still have debt. In Malaysia, there is 3 biggest debt that always happened, which is the house debt, the cars or the transportations, you buy cars, you buy wherever it is, and thirdly is the credit card. The lifestyle is really affected after COVID-19. When you lost your income, but your debt are still there, so this is something that already become a disaster to everyone if you are included in that group. So the government are really testing it to see how is it, because the lack of economy, the lack of plan for the people can endanger the government. At this sensitive time, people very easy to get angry. People very easy to very disappointed with the government. Despite my government having a 3 stimulus package, still many people are not happy. People are talking about, so what's next? What are you going to do with us? It's the end of the year, and next year going to be 1 year with COVID. So what is your long plan? What is your longer plan? What is your short terms and long terms plan? Explain to us. So it's going to be a very major challenges, because normally end of October is where our budget for 2021 will be tabled in the parliament. So that is a very, very, I cannot say dangerous to the prime ministers, but prime ministers and the ministers of finance should sit down very carefully, should look at this thing in a very high sensitive manner, because all the industries, from major industry to middle industries and to the small, medium industries, enterprises, they want to see whether they can live, they can still in the business by 2021. And for us in university, we already been cutting the budget. For budget 2021, we know already how much we get. So for my university, we are among the 6 research university in Malaysia, and one of the oldest university in Malaysia. We being expected by the government to find our own money. So many of our lecturers have to be creative how to bring money to the faculty. So at this moment, it's also not only for the government, it's also to everyone who have the major administrative posts to think about how to bring money to your institutions. In my case, I don't bring money, but I give a service to my university as a legal advisor, how to we can answer many legal issue and we can solve it without going to the court, which is we have to use more money. So this is a very, very impactful. And if you can see that the development cannot go further with this situation because people are stuck back to the square one. Okay, we want to eat. People don't want to talk about the sustainable development. People don't want to talk about SDG 2030. What is SDG 2030 during COVID? So I'm quite pessimist that this SDG 2030 also not going to be achieved same like the MDG. Because it's 2020 is end already. So we got about 9 years to achieve before 2030. So with this situation, it looks like going to be prolonged for 2 or 3 years. I hope not. Where are we heading to in SDG? Because SDG means we erase or we can eradicate poverty. Second, we can have the gender balance. Third, rights for women and children. Fourth, we want to have the more democracy and peaceful thought. But where we can do this? How we can do this? With this COVID around, it's really like cram everything in one, and it's only a good leader with a good cabinet can survive during this time. A bad leader definitely will be thrown out after this. And the people are become more sensitive, more critical, and more easy to angry with the government. So that's why I said, where are we heading to now? To the development. There is no way. The development can be continued, but it's not like what we already proposed on the paper and what we agreed before. Because somehow or other, without money, there is no development can be done, especially the facility, especially the human index. You know, because it's very important that to get the human index up in the ranking, our government have to show that they provide us with a very good especially the government servant with a good training. So how you want to go for training if you don't have money? Or your budget already being cut? Or being low by the government? So this is the issues. So at the end of the day, we are not talking only the people, all groups being affected. We are talking about the industries that where the people get money, get their jobs done, also being affected, and the government, the test for the government. So I think that is from me because I have a 15 minutes. So I hope that there is a student's question or any explanation that we can share at this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Dr. Salawati for the very interesting presentation about the COVID-19 and the impact of development. And I can make it a summary from the presentation from Dr. Salawati. Dr. Salawati said that development not only of physical facilities, but development is more than that. And the scope of development is about people, society, and also the business. And Dr. Salawati also stated that COVID-19 impact a lot in every sector. And Dr. Salawati focused on the 3 questions is about how's the impact of COVID-19 to the society and how is the impact of COVID-19 to the business, and the last is the impact of COVID-19 to the government. And from all the presentation, we can see that the impact of the COVID-19 hit a lot to society, business, and also to the government, especially to making a strategic policy. And then I want to add a little bit information, especially in Indonesia, we can see that 3.32% economic contraction for Indonesia. And Dr. Salawati also informed us about what happened in Malaysia recently. And thank you very much. It's a very interesting presentation and also open our insight regarding the impact of COVID-19 in Malaysia. Now we turn to question and answer session. For all the participants, if you have any question, you can type your question to the chat, or you can ask question directly to Associate Professor Salawati Matbasir. For all the participants, is there any questions regarding the topics about COVID-19 and the impact of development? Okay, Dr. Salwati, we have one question from Muhammad Akbar, students from International Undergraduate Program. The question is, okay, good morning, Professor Madhya. I'm sorry, Prof. I'm sorry, Prof. A question. You said that human index is important, but when to develop our index is need money. Meanwhile, on this situation, many people are fired on their jobs. So on your opinion, how to develop our index well? Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much for the question. That's what I said just now. It's really going to be impact on our human index. I believe many developing country like us will be very high impact on that because when our economics are boom and government have more tax. So when government have more tax, not only government can provide more facilities, but government also provide the human facilities, which is training, sending people to go abroad to find their education. So this is all the numbers that growing the index. And I understand that with this kind of situation, when people have been fired and people also cannot join in this, and government also have to decrease their budget for important things because they want to give only for health at this moment, our index will not doing well. Our index might be static there or going to be a little bit lower because we cannot have anything more. I think in case of Malaysia, our government have to choose, are forced to choose. You want to have the good health of the people, or you want to do at this time a training, which is you can do, or you can done it after COVID or maybe online. Of course, the online is not same like you went there and you facing the people, but still our government are trying to accommodate it, but they're not going to be the same. So agree with you, no money, then you cannot get a good index. With money, you can get. Look at Singapore. The number one human index in the world is Singapore. Even US is number 35, UK number 18. So it's our neighbors, first human index, because they have a lot of money. And US have about 60 million Sing dollar to give all the training, to conduct any courses which they invite and pay to all of us to go there. So they can do it because of money. And we can't do that because I'm talking about personally in my country, and we can't do like that because our budget is already being cut off for 2021 to give more. So we are not going to have a good index. Whether we are static there or we have to go a little bit down. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Salwati. And now we have the next question from Clariska Francisca. She asked about what do you think about online-based learning? Do you think this is the effective way? Remember, there are still some poor children that can afford the device or internet package. And how about the education system in Malaysia while COVID-19? Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much, Clarissa. Okay, what I think about online-based learning. Actually, we previously done it already, right? We already have it. We call it blended learning, where somehow rather the lecturers sometimes can put the videos when she's not around. You can open the video. Some like my master class. Some students are lawyers. We have a class in the morning, they can't attend, so I put it in our base. Then they can open it, but they have to answer certain questions. So actually it's there, but people are not giving it seriously because we are still have face-to-face classes or tutorials. But now, whether you like it or not, you still have to go for study, but you can't face your friends or your lecturer because we want to reduce the numbers of the COVID. So we have to help our government. We have to take care of ourselves and others, so then we can back normal. Maybe not that normal, but we at least can have face-to-face soon. So I think my still online base is second choice for me, but I don't have a choice at this moment. So I have to do the best. We have to accommodate with it and try the best and try to feel thanks that we still can continue our study. in this kind of scenario, right? Okay, what I think about the effective way, because some of poor children can't afford the device or internet package. Yes, this is the very major issue that brings by many educators in Malaysia to the Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia, and also our education department. Because okay, you're talking about online, but people in town or in a city, they can afford it. But what about a rural area? We are talking about really rural area in Sabah and Sarawak. You know, when they don't get a line, they have to climb up the trees to get the line. And then the facilities is like not reach their place. So are we going to discriminate them because they're living in that kind of situation? So we are demand our government to provide that. So I think that in Peninsular Malaysia, majority have that internet. Not only that, because in university, for the university, school and university, there is a telco that working together with the government. They give a free SIM card that you can get from the school or university, where you can have certain megabytes that you can use for free. So for 3 months like that, so you can take it, but definitely only for the people, students from the poor family or certain income, not all. Not all. So for those who already have the facility, don't come and take it, because it's not for you. It's for the students who don't have that facilities. So we in UK, and we accommodate that. But some of the poor students, they don't want to be in their house because they said very hard for them to go to get that line. So they better come back to university. So this student, we give a special room and for them to assess their study. So they are in UKM, despite we don't receive students because of COVID. So but we give that because we know education is a must. So if they're back to their hometown, they can't study. So we allow them to come back and we take care of them. All right. So if I say it like that, I'm telling you, still many children from the poor family, they cannot follow the studies. There is one very sad story that they got one factory workers. She only have one smartphone, but she have seven children that study at the same time. So she said, what can I do? I only afford one, and it's my phone. I give it to my children, and I using the hotspots from others too. So can you imagine? And the sisters, the brother take turns. If, for example, 12 o'clock to 1, the brother's time, the brother's take. For the rest, he cannot, you know, and the sisters, maybe 8 to 9, the sister's time, and then another sister. And so they can only attend one time subject in one day. We deny their rights, actually. So this is the type of people, the family, that we must look into it. And if you're talking to me, we're having this biggest problem in Malaysia. We're having this around the world because we actually not ready with this COVID. And personally, I think my government also never thought that we can be hit this up to this stage. And we are thinking everything is okay now, we close back the school. So we don't have a choice. So now that's why the government are being asked for budget 2021 by end of this week, you must give more to the online courses and how to upgrade the internet line in the rural area. And yes, the education system in Malaysia, like I said to you, for those who are having the internet and from the international school or private school, they are still having the class like what I'm talking to you. So no problem. Some the students are really facing the teacher like same like now. So no problem. But if government school, when you have 45 students in one class and the teacher cannot have the online class, only selected time, because she knows not all will attend. Some, the parents are not at home because have to work, so the children don't know what time is that they have to be online. Some because of the internet problem, some because of poor, no even gadget to study. So what they do is just they have a Google Classroom. They give the homework to the children, and then they will ask the children to send back in the Google Classroom, which is not effective, not at all. Because I take example of my children, they both of them are online and they start by 7:50 Malaysian time, like my first girl until 3:30 in the afternoon. So I can see the teacher is like already, okay, this is your meet, your address of your meet, this is your Zoom. So every teacher is like very equipped. Okay, so she have to be with the school uniform, even though at home, because they want to give her marks to show the discipline. So she started by 7:50 and another one, same like school. The only thing, she's not facing her friends physically and the teacher, but still she have homework, she has an assignment to do, she have a group assignment even to do. Despite this, the teacher can do that because all the parents can provide the internet and the gadget for the children. But I'm talking about the rural area, which is to eat also they cannot have money. What you are talking about? Education not going to be the number one. Education might be not on list. This is the impact of the COVID. If the normal day also they are already suffer, COVID just make them more suffer. That's the situation in my country.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Salawati, for answering the question. Before I read the question from the chat box, is there participants who want to ask directly to the Dr. Salawati? I give a time for you to ask directly. Okay, if not, I will read the question from the chat box. Next from Diastama. Professor, I have question regarding the development of the law. Is there any specific difference regarding the legislation process before the outbreak of the virus and after the COVID-19 hit? And how about the legislation process in Malaysia during this pandemic?
Okay, thank you. Previously, before we have the pandemic, we, of course, all the process of legislation in Malaysia have to go to the AGC, Attorney General Chamber's office, and will be tabled as a bill at the Parliament. And normally they have the, the Parliament like every 3 months, every 6 months. They will have the sessions and will debate, blah 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 blah, and all that. But when the COVID, they did once last May, but then after that, no more. So the legislation is being passed by reading by the speaker, and also to show and also the vote by the MPs. For example, we passed the Infectious Disease Act 2020 recently. We don't have the gathering at the Parliament. We have the speakers who we make it public. We debate it like before, but it's online. And after AGC give an explanation to everyone, and then the MP say, okay, we agree with that, and but they also approve that they have the feasibility studies before, so everything's done and they gazette it. So when they gazette it, it's time to enforce it. But when the government want to make the declare of the state emergency, like 3-4 days before that, Malaysians are like not happy with it, and they using the kings to use that. And again, people are not against the king, but people against the way it being done. Because for us, why you have to declare the state of emergency to do what? Is it the COVID? Yes, we know the COVID is around the world, and the COVID also already in Malaysia by March. So why suddenly state of emergency? You going to be dictator towards us? Because under our constitution, when you declare using Article 150 of Malaysian Constitution, where we cannot question you regarding the budget, we cannot question you regarding any laws that you want to use on us during the emergency. So it really make the people feel very unhappy. Not only politicians, normal people, and it scared the young generation, because this is not the process that we're supposed to have during this pandemic. During this pandemic, it's supposed to be more transparent, more equal to everyone. So luckily that the kings and all the sultans have the King's Council yesterday evening, they rejected the idea. So we feel very blessed. So we can continue our life like normal, but we demand our government to be transparent in everything you do, especially this legislation process. So you can see that before COVID, everything is done smooth, everything done well. But when it's come to the COVID, there is like the restrictions on certain things, but it's also, I can say, like taking advantage by governments towards us. So this is not good. So this is what we protest for past few days, and luckily it's not happened. And the king say, make sure that you do well in your government and don't use people as a tools for the political interest. So we are happy for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Salawati. And the next question will come from the alumni, also from your students. From Pulung Widi Harihananto. Time is yours, Pulung.
Okay, thank you very much for the kind word, Mbak Nanda, and thank you, moderator. And good day, everyone, and good day, Dr. Salawati. Well, actually, I'm very happy that we have reunion in here, yeah? The alumni of the National University of Malaysia. Yeah. Okay. I have a 2-point question, doctor, that may be addressing point to deliver to Dr. Salawati to elaborate maybe auto response. And the first point is regarding about half the development international law issue. And as we know that maybe the outbreak of the COVID-19 or the pandemic is make any segment of the life is in trouble. Sometimes that have bright side, sometimes have negative side. The bright side maybe the earth will be recover well because there's less industrial and less human activities. But meanwhile, in another side, we can say that many of the countries, such as the government or the executive, their executive and of the state itself, they using about unexpected funds or unexpected money or unexpected budget to just make some like recover or maybe to support the system. I mean, like maybe such as for the vaccine or the research for the vaccine, and also maybe from the healthy matters, because as we know that the hospital is also have such as reliant of the money itself to support it. So we know that they have also have a quote, after pandemic, they have a debt for the F country. So as the international development lecture, by your opinion, doctor, so which the country should do? Is there any have like durable solution that maybe to apply for this issue? Because now it's not facing off not only have a developed countries, but also developing countries. So I think this is very interesting issue to raise and to talk and maybe to criticize, because sometimes they develop it that maybe they can defend well because they have a good system. But about have developing countries, or maybe the third countries, or maybe the third world approach of international law, I think it will be have difficult to stand up in this condition. I mean, like in the unprecedented condition. That's my first point, a question. And second question, it's regarding about the vaccine, because now that every developed country has such a competition to develop the vaccines to occur or maybe to stop the pandemic spreading itself by the medicines. But sometimes when we have the vaccine in this pandemic, we can think that this is like political games and also maybe like economic games, such as that the capitalism is supported in behind that, which is that they will be have bringing some like drama for the developing countries who need or really on the vaccine. Maybe they must be buy first in the developed country, which is they own it, and even that from the basic on the intellectual property right, they have used the copyright and the patent itself. So if you want to just like buy the vaccines, no humanity, because this is urgent and this is the business. So the first is money first. So I think how that the world should be have deal with such this issue, because I think it's irritating me so well, because I think that in the unprecedented time like this one, I think it's better that the world is coming together. International communities should be coming together to against it together. But sometimes they have make this is like a beneficial time to sell about their product and do it about half the capitalism approach itself. I think that's all. Thank you very much. I yield my back to moderator and Dr. Salawati to respond. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm respond Pulong. Okay, regarding where actually money can be misplaced during this COVID. That's why I say we want the transparent system from the government towards us. Whatever you do, please be transparent for us. Where's the money? That's why when our government want to do the state of emergency, we know, because after all, they say we don't have right to table to you the financial for budget 2021. You shut up. We will do it for you. So we don't want that. We want to know where is the money goes. For if you say for the stimulus package, how many billion? If you're talking about the education, how many billion? If you're talking about COVID, how many billion? We want to see it. You have to put it. So you have to table it, even we are alone in the parliament. That is what we demand. And now the prime minister have to do it, because he failed to get the king to agree with him. Good. So we want to reach, normally on this Friday, he has to stand up in parliament and talking about the budget, whether he likes it or not. So I believe with what you say, that if without the transparent system during this COVID, the government can easily using people and COVID as just an excuse for their corruptions and for their cronyism. And we don't want that. This is a simple, right? In international development, this is what always happened. Corruption by the government using a legal system. So we don't want that. Second, you're talking about vaccine. I think I'd like to bring you back to the attention. I think 2 weeks ago, China, there is a group of China's government visit Malaysia and met our foreign minister. And the statement that came out from that particular group is, we already agree with Indonesia to build a factory for COVID vaccine in Indonesia. However, the country in ASEAN will receive the first vaccine, if it's successful, is Malaysia. So many people are in question mark. Not question mark about Malaysia, Indonesia. We're talking about the China influence into this, in this region. Very smart. Indonesia is very huge potential market. Okay, we build the factory there and we give Malaysia first. Why you give Malaysia first? We have a problem with you at South China Sea. Why? Are you talking something behind us that we don't know? See, this is what we question. The vaccine is actually, I agree with you, US are doing that, China doing that, Singapore, Britain, UK, everyone is like, okay, I'm doing it. Even in Brazil, this Extenas, I think, the pharmacies, among the largest pharmaceutical company, they are start already giving the injection to the humans. And there is one case that the person died. So, and they say, no, it's nothing to do with the test that we give on that jab. It's nothing, it's because he himself. But the parents say that he's a very healthy person. So in doing this thing, like you say, I agree, the pharmaceutical company is actually can be the number one can have. So if the government can buy, they will give to the government can buy. They're not going to care about the poor country. So again, it looks like very, very the very wrong theory that COVID is also can be two things that we know. First, who is poor, who is rich, and second, the IP, because everyone tried to get their intellectual property on that, so the other company cannot design and do anything about it. So it can be the traditional knowledge of the certain people being used in that vaccine, and that not recognized. Is recognized because they are huge and giant pharmaceutical company. So we are dealing with the two dangerous things at this moment. First, the transparency and the corruption of a government. Second, the geostrategic by the superpower towards us. I hope I answer your question.
Okay, doctor, thank you very much. Can I follow up, Mbak Nanda?
All right,
Okay. Just give us some insightful, I mean, like the insight or maybe some like comment from you. Which the country that may be better to deal with the COVID-19?
Actually, I don't trust any. If you're talking about, I don't trust any.
Okay,
because
doctor.
I don't trust any. Because why? But we have to deal with it because we need the vaccine. For example, I think China is very friendly towards us rather than US at this moment. So we don't have much time to like, I love US, I don't like China, you make a problem at this, blah, blah. We know it's a problem with them. We know there is a problem for both of them, but we don't have a choice. They leave us with no choice. So Malaysia with a very, no choice. So we agree to that. We want to see that, is it true that you can provide us with the vaccine, like what you say? So at this moment, at this stage, Malaysia agree to get the vaccine from China. So, but whatever they deal, I don't know, but without prejudice, we have to deal with it. We accept that from China at this moment. Yeah.
Thank you very much, doctor. I think it's pretty clear.
Okay, thank you very much for Dr. Salawati. Dr. Salawati, I also have a question for you, doctor, regarding Malaysia experience in order to prevent this pandemic or to face this pandemic. Especially, I read from the news that Malaysia having a policy lockdown until December 2020. And I want to ask you about how is the policy impact to the economic growth in Malaysia? Because more of the country is too afraid for having a policy lockdown for their country. Thank you, Dr. Salawati.
Actually, our airport is actually on special cases, but we don't accept any major like before major flight. No, our people want to go abroad, yes, but you need to get the clearance from the immigration first, and the government that you want to arrive on what basis, then you can fly. For those who want to come to Malaysia also, you must get why you want to come. Like for example, diplomat, you cannot stop them from coming. Businesses or certain issues which is very needs them. So the investors and all that, yes, but they have to quarantine themselves 2 weeks at the hotel that we selected for them, and they have to pay by themselves. So it's not a good actually for this moment. It's really hindered. That's why we retrench many of our crew cabin, Malaysian Airlines, AirAsia especially, and Malindo Airlines, because we don't fly. And we said that we still close our border till 31st December 2020, even though we are dealing with Singapore to open our bridge between Singapore and Malaysia, but still not happen. With Thailand also agreed that until 31st December, and Malaysia said we will always review the situation. As far as I know that our immigration do not give any permission for any international student to arrive. You just only can do your online with the supervisors or with the lecture online. And one point that is really impact because of major things done by flight. And this is really a problem, and also import and export, because some goods are fly, some goods are carried by sea, some are by air. So by air is a problem. We do have mass cargo, but even though like that, still it's not the same, because the effective time, departures and all that, and not all the things can be import and export. So it's really not a good sign for our economy. So we do hope that government are released more day by day on certain issues, because not all we can import at this moment and export also at this moment.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Salawati. We also have a question from Aditya Hermanu, and I try to translate it into English. The main question is about how is the relationship between countries during this pandemic? As we know that before the pandemic, the relationship between countries is more stable than these days. What is your opinion about that, Dr. Salawati? Thank you.
I understand that he writes in Bahasa Indonesia. Okay, how pandemics can influence the international relation. Actually, it's very much influenced, because we can see at this moment, the two superpower, China and US, are still play a major role during this COVID. And it start to bring like some sort like new Cold War between these two, but in a very dangerous situation compared the previous Cold War, which is very sensitive, which is it can be a conflict if these two countries are not doing well or use ASEAN as the place for them to start that, which is I refer to the South China Sea precisely. Then how you say bagaimana hubungan antara negara berikutnya setelah kondisi pandemik ini? As I said to you, you can see that the first world country are very busy with themselves. They don't care. They are taking care about themselves. The only country that now start to back normal is China. China, because they have the interests around the world. Japan, Japan is just visit Indonesia and Vietnam recently. Meaning that despite COVID, this Indo-Pacific issue are never being stopped. The US versus China is still continue in the pandemic era. Yeah, because China now is getting better. They don't have COVID anymore. They start to go back again. But US are having a problem with they're going to choose the president on 3rd November, and they're also still fighting with among the highest number COVID in the world. So US are very disadvantaged at this time. But again and again, US would not lose their status quo as the #1 in the world. So we can see the major impact from that. So you said that kita memahami bahawa sebelum terjadinya pandemik ini, hubungan antara negara di dunia hampir mencapai titik stabilnya. Namun setelah pandemik ini, hubungan antara negara dilihat tidak begitu ya. Ya benar. Because why? As I said to you, everyone are talking about who can get the COVID vaccine. And everyone are put the money. Like Singapore, they have their really upgrade their laboratory in the US. They are doing well now. And they invite Malaysia to join their lab. And also Hong Kong, also doing their own lab. China have their own. US also working on it. And UK is also doing on it. And a few Europe countries. But nothing happened in Africa continents. People are dying too, but we don't hear from them. Because why? Because they are not important. They're not rich country. Their leadership are corrupt. So we don't see that. So we are actually back to the situation of 1980s where we start to have two blocks, the China blocks and US blocks. So at the end of the day, we have to choose again, who is the member? And it's really a difficult situation for Malaysia because we don't want to be a block with anyone. We want both, but I think Trump is playing rough with us compared to China. So our politicians, our ministers have to be very careful when deal with both, because both also we have a problem actually. So again, we actually created another Cold War impolitely without we realizing it. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Salawati. I think the time is up. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of the presentation. We would like to say thank you for Dr. Salawati Madbasir for the informative and interesting talk. And to all the audience or participants, thank you for your active participation. Hopefully this presentation will be beneficial for everybody. Thank you for your attention. Good morning. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Sartikananda Lestaria Sarma LLM, for guiding the sessions. Very amazing. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the next agenda, we will take a photo for our documentation. So, for all the participants, please turn on your camera. Come on, let's turn on your camera, guys. Come on, please turn on your camera. Don't be shy. All right. In my sign, okay, I'll count it down. In 3, 2, 1. Once more. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, finally, we're in the end of the sessions. It has been a great and wonderful morning with all of you. I would like to say thank you again to our special speaker. That is the one and only Associate Professor Salawati Madbasir, LLB, LLM, and also Mrs. Sartikananda, SHM, LLM, as our moderator today. And absolutely for all the participants for attending the sessions actively. May what we had conducted today will be useful for us. And as the master ceremony of today's event, even guiding for today's sessions, I made a mistake or opened someone here. Please forgive me. That's all for today. Good afternoon and see you in another sessions of Visiting Lecture 2020. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Santi 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 Om, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mbak Nanda. Thank you, Mas Dias.